very good start to the season, I suppose, for yourself personally. Just what sort of changed for you in pre-season in these couple of matches that you've sort of hit this scoring spree?
I don't think anything's changed massively, to be honest. Maybe I feel, slightly better from a mental perspective, which always helps. Feeling really good in general. We've got a slightly new style. Maybe my role changed slightly, but nothing too crazy. I think I've just got into the right positions and stayed pretty calm. I think that's what it's come down to. Yeah.
Everyone seems to speak, both in Brendan's first term and second term as manager, about how his man management skills can really develop a player and make them shine. How have you experienced the manager's, type of style of management?
Yeah, it's been good. If there's something that, I need to work on or needs to be addressed, then he'll pick me up on it and we'll go through it, especially on the training pitch. Like the other day he pulled me in, just went through some little bits, nothing crazy, but some little details just to help me, nothing too much, because obviously we don't want to overload everyone's heads with info. But I think he's good with most players in terms of just dealing with them from a personal perspective. I think naturally that's going to help on the pitch as well, just because you probably feel slightly better. Yeah. In
terms of that personal aspect, is that something that you prefer in a manager, that someone that they can pull you aside and go, right, this is what you have to work on?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I have a preference, to be honest. I think there's so many different styles of management in football, and if they're successful, then it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I like working with managers who can get the best out of me, however that is, And I think I've been fortunate enough so far in my career to have had pretty good managers thus far. And I do think I'm developing every season, which is the most important thing.
Do you think the best is yet to come from you and this squad?
Yeah, I think so. Well? Yeah. I'd always want to improve, and I'd always hope the team would want to improve as well. So I think it should be an exciting season. Yeah.
Looking at the players who the manager's brought in and talking about gelling and stuff like that, how this will take time, won't it, for Brendan to bring in his style, obviously different from Ange's, and to hit top gear. But how well are the players gelling at the moment?
I mean, we've won the first two games. We can't say we've been bad by any means, and I think we've played some really good stuff within that. Like you said, it's going to take a bit of time to really gel. New players coming in, players leaving, slightly different style, as you say. But I think we've got enough good players to adapt. And as a footballer, I think you need to be ready to adapt whenever. But I think we'll be fine. I think we're in a good place right now. I think every game we will get better as well.
Is that almost a warning to the rest of the league that you've already been to one of the hardest places to go, could have won by 4 or 5 or whatever, and still there is that room to grow from this squad?
Yeah, because I don't think we came off the pitch, feeling like we played great, but at the same time, I think we were comfortable overall. I mean, they had a bit of pressure within the game, but they never really threatened our goal too much. I think we were quite comfortable, which is positive in terms of that stability throughout the team. I'm not going to speak too much on the rest of the teams in the league, but I think we're in a good place. Yeah.
You answered Ron's first question, said your role might have slightly changed. How do you see it has changed at all? Just going to expand on that.
Just tactically, we obviously, it's just slightly different within our midfield structure. Also, with Kyogo coming a bit deeper at times, depending on how much pressure's on the ball. For me personally, I'm probably slightly more involved at times in the build-up aspect, with obviously that license to get forward as well. So I've probably got a little bit more freedom to kind of go down and up, which I enjoy doing, because I quite like seeing the play develop and kind of reading the play, and I can kind of pick my moment to, arrive in the box, or maybe arrive in our defensive box as well to help out there. So yeah.
You think that is going to help leading to more goals this season? Obviously, both your goals, 2 great finishes, arriving into the box at the right time. Do you think that will help improve your goal scoring? I think obviously 2 goals already last year. Was it 4 or 5 goals last season? 4. Do you feel that you can go much further than that this year? Do you have any personal targets? Do you set yourself targets?
I haven't set myself any targets in terms of numbers, no. Last season I kind of did. At the same time I'm quite young, so some of it's trial and error. But for me personally, I feel better when I'm kind of coming from a place of just expressing myself from quite a free standpoint, rather than setting a target and having to go for that, because then if you're not getting close to it, you might have a bit of stress towards it, you might lose a bit of calmness, composure. So I haven't set myself any targets, but back to your question about do I think it could help me get more goals, I'd like to think so, yeah. I mean, I think last season I probably should have got more goals anyway within that structure, so I don't think it's a matter of necessarily the different style, it's probably due to myself as well and just how calm I am when I'm in those areas.
Moving on to the weekend, obviously it's the start of the League Cup, one of the trophies you won last year. How important is it to get off to a good start, and it's such a tough place to start as well down at Kilmarnock?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a tough draw. Respectfully, I think if the game's at home, it's probably easier than playing away, because it's a tough place to go. We know that from past experiences, and other teams also finding it hard there. But at the same time, I think we've got enough to win the game, of course. But it's going to be one we're going to have to be more than ready for.
How do you, as a player and as a squad, get yourselves up for it again? Because domestically last season you were nearly perfect, winning all the trophies. How do you go again and say we've got to do everything the same but better? How do you do that?
I just think it's about constantly wanting to improve, both individually and as a team, collectively. We've obviously got other competitions like the Champions League, which we'd like to improve on from last season, albeit our performances were probably pretty good. Where we finished in the group wasn't. So I think, really making our mark in Europe is a target for everybody, but at the same time, we still want to be as successful as possible in Scotland, so that'll be the aim.
Yeah, how important is it to find that balance? Because as you said, if you look at last season, the clear improvement would be the Champions League, because everything else you won. But how important is it to make sure that you are still focused on the League Cup when this knockout game comes around? If you lose it, that's instantly you're out of the cup.
No, exactly.
People say that already it's going to be below last year.
We know the demands and the pressures of being a Celtic. Every game you have to win, so we're well aware of that. I think more importantly, it's just about continuing that winning mentality side of things, just winning, trying to win every single game, because naturally that kind of carries you to the next game from a momentum point of view. And yeah, like I said, we're at Celtic, so I don't think you should expect anything less than to win. And for me personally, I think we should have the same mindset when we're in the Champions League as well.
Just finally from me on Kilmarnock themselves, you're talking about that pitch. We saw them on the opening day as well against Rangers. They were impressive that day, beat Rangers. Do you look at them and think they've improved this season? You might expect more, because I remember I was at the game towards the end of last year when you were down there, and it was maybe 5-0 after half an hour. Do you expect it to be a tougher test this time round?
I think we should always expect it to be a tougher test. We need to be as prepared as we can be. Last season when we went there, like you said, the 5-0 game, we took our chances really well. I think that's going to be very important. I do think if you score the first goal at a place like that, it helps a lot. But at the same time, if they were to score first, I think we've got enough, in our toolbox to still win the game. So we're a team that stays calm regardless of how a game's going. So I think we'll be prepared.
Was that Kilmarnock win over Rangers just a little reminder, just how variable this league can be sometimes, be it plastic pitches or away from homes, that teams, especially up against the likes of Celtic and Rangers, throw everything at you, especially in a one-off cup game now, especially.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think as much as the likes of Celtic and Rangers are expected to win all the games, it's a lot easier said than done, because winning football matches isn't an easy thing to do regardless of who you're playing against. Every game poses a different challenge. When you get through the middle stage of the season, when you've got 3 games a week, obviously it's going to take more of a toll on the body. You're going to have to be very focused and relentless with your approach. So I definitely think that's something that gets overlooked by being a Celtic player, probably, because the demands are high to win. Not that I'm complaining, but it's definitely easier said than done. But at the same time, I think it's nice to be in that kind of environment where you have to be relentless and you have to really go for it every week, because play football to win as well, don't you, at the same time? Just
one final one I wanted to pick up on something you said earlier, just about your own game and about being at a better place mentally. What is that for you in that sense, that mental space? Has it just been more settled in Glasgow, or
No, I've always been settled in Glasgow. I think it's probably more of just a mindful kind of thing when I'm on the pitch. If you're thinking, if your head's somewhere else or it's thinking too much, then naturally you won't be as focused on the game and what you need to do in that given moment. So when I'm in a place which is calm and clear and just kind of with the flow of things, then I feel good, and I feel like that's where I'm at the moment.
Does that come with age, or is that something that you've worked on
That's something I worked on. I work on it quite relentlessly as well off the pitch. You know, whether it be meditation or a lot of mindful practices, and so now I just try to constantly improve, whether it be as a person and as a footballer as well. So yeah.